Just relax. Even if everyone else suspects Lynn. Besides, I doubt Farina.
Thanks, Navia.
Best of luck to you.
Ah, finally, you're back. Well, how did your
To be honest,
No, we're already very grateful.
Well now, don't you all look disappointed. That was to be expected, of course. But don't let that stop you. I shall be terribly disappointed.
Since both parties are present, I declare... Firstly, in order for the audience to understand the causes and results of...
Yes, of course. I will explain.
Thank you, Mr. Linney. You ran to and remained hidden within the magic box in the audience stands once the trick...
Yes, that's correct.
In that case, I call upon the prosecution.
Why, of course I do. Allow me to take the first shot and break this case wide open. Mr. Linney is clearly lying. There is no way you could have been in the box the whole time if you were to abduct Halsey and murder Cowell. In fact...
That is simply your hypothesis based on the presumption that I'm guilty.
Oh, is that so?
The roaring countdown of the crowd, of course. That's how I kept track of the time and built...
And you didn't hear anything
No, nothing.
I see. But when the count reached 30 seconds or so...
Huh?
hey, hang on.
Yeah, I'm sure he could have heard a noise that loud from inside the box.
I was right by the box and I
Look at those scales. Could those mean...
Well then, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to use the words of the magician himself. Of course, I have armed myself to do far more than smash your alibi. Confidence cannot go unfounded, and my foundations are... Tell me, aren't you and Lynette actually from the House of the Hearth?
The House of the Hearth?
No wonder they did something like this.
So the serial disappearances were the Fatui.
I've got a feeling that what happened on stage probably wasn't...
That's irrelevant. Our identities have nothing to do...
Indeed. Then perhaps you could tell us... Your first priority is to prove yourself innocent after all. I'm sure there is little that needs to be kept secret now. Unless your script already has holes in it. The Outlander is speechless. My, oh my, don't they look flabbergasted? Now comes the infighting and discord. Oh, good thing I made all those preparations. Seems the all-nighter I pulled last night is really...
Hey, Linny, why didn't you tell us...
Order! Order! First, when the thud was heard in the Opera House, you were neither in the box nor the tunnel. Are these claims true? Please answer my question, Mr.
I'm sorry. Yes, they're true, Your Honor.
I knew it!
Well, that's it. We might as well.
What should we do now?
Granted. In that case, what is your request?
Is that really necessary? They're all...
The defendant deceived their own attorneys. What is there left to discuss?
Order! Order! Your request is reasonable, and we shall adjourn. This...
So you would stick to Mr. Linney's defense in that case, my dear audience.
Well, this is awkward. I didn't think the Hydra... I'm sorry, Traveler.
Yeah.
Paimon doesn't know where to start. We based our entire reasoning on the assumption that you weren't bad guy. Not to set the wrong tone or anything, but Paimon's really mad!
I'm very sorry. I know you're angry. I know you've clashed with the Vitui several times before. I wouldn't be but our organization is very, very large, and
Right now, we want to save people.
That's right. I'm sure we're on the same page when it comes to this nation and the disaster that it's... I knew if it weren't for our respective identities, we could become good... That's why I didn't wish to flat out lie to you. The truth is very important, but being completely transparent about everything would see us... Right. So, you be the judge. Heck, you met a Fatus who works as a magician, a trickster by trade. But still, I'm asking you to trust me.
Sorry. Please forgive us.
Well, you both say that, but... Right, let's hear your answer first, and no lies now!
Of course. I'll answer any question. We've been trying to find out how the Oratrice operates. We want to know why it has a consciousness. During our investigations, we learned that the machine's core is beneath it. From that moment on, Lynette and I have been designing this box.
Is that why you needed a whole minute?
That's right. In truth, the audience would take about 75 seconds to count down from 6. So, after jumping into the tunnel, I accessed the Opera House basement via the vent, and went...
That air vent was created during the construction of the tunnel specifically to execute this step.
Well, nothing. As soon as I reached that room and was about to invest, which should have been impossible, of course, I was quite that voice seemed to recognize me and tried to speak to me. I chose to err on the side of caution. On the way back, I saw the broken vase and After that, the homicide...
Well, that explains why you didn't hear the thud.
Because of that prophecy I told you about, of course.
That's the only way we can save everyone.
So, there you have it. The whole... It was never my wish to proceed under... But like I said earlier, you can be the judge.
Well, Traveler, you decide. Paimon will follow your lead however you choose.
Okay.
Thanks for giving us a chance.
The current problem is that the scales are tipped pretty big. If we want to refute the Hydro Archon's accusation, huh?
Both parties have returned to their positions. Let us continue. When last we left off, Mr. Linney acknowledged the new evidence presented by Lady Farina as fact. Therefore...
That took long enough. At this stage, let's revisit that scene from Linney's perspective. As the countdown began, he entered the tunnel. When the flatbed trolley passed, he opened the box and got into an He did not realize that this... Finally, he used the vase to knock her... At this time, So, Linney proceeded. Afterward, Linney passed. And there you have it.
Does the defendant's side have any objections to Lady Farina's?
The key to refuting Lady Farina is the order of events. What Linney experienced and what he's... seems this more. According to Linny, Linny went to the room that contained. Linny did not take part in the underground altercation.
Attention! When the countdown started, Linny did indeed, but he immediately used a vent to access the Opera House space. Once he reached that area, he heard a voice in what should have been the crime scene had already developed by the time Finally, he reached the surface, and that was when the accident happened.
In other words, you believe that he knew nothing of the—
That's right!
My reasoning?
If that's the case, then if Cowell hadn't entered the tunnel, who, assuming that what you say is true, Linny only needed to kidnap—
Oh, that...
That's right, you tell him! And that— oh, well, your denial is very strident, I'll give you that. But what Of course I do. If he had been in the magic— You're saying that he wasn't?
That's right! Linny wasn't in the box or in the tunnel. That's why he didn't hear anything strange during the performance. This means that when the crime happened, Linny had the same clue you used to disprove his alibi has now become the best proof!
Well played. To think you'd use such logic. Well then, if it wasn't Linny who committed the crimes, then who was it?
Could there have been a third person involved? Halsey is the missing person and an ordinary audience member. The deceased's name is Cowell, Linny's assistant. He would have been able to tamper with the equipment.
That can't be right. The
Oh, is that so? How interesting!
What I must do next is recreate the truth. What Cowell did, and how he went from would-be perpetrator to... It would have been tough for both people to fit into that vent. They would like... Linny was not in the tunnel at that moment, which gave our criminal ample time. The sound we heard may have come from a clash between the missing Halsey and the criminal. Halsey's clothing was in the tunnel. So... The deceased's name is Cowell, Linny's assistant. No one entered or left the Opera House through its entrances. So... Halsey's clothing was in the... Halsey's clothing was in the... The deceased's name is Cowell, Linny's... The deceased's name is Cowell, Linny's assistant. It would have been tough for both people. No one entered or left the... The deceased's name is Cowell, Lynn... It would have been tough for both people.
What's wrong, Traveler? Are you...
I see how it is.
Look, since we're at a dead end, just like the trick as it transpired, the end...
If only we knew how helpful.
Well, that would be nice, but the tunnel only has 3... And it's not like this is a magic trick where you can just make...
Excuse my interruption, dear opponents, but do you not see that the crowd is...
If the defense is unable to make further effective arguments, we will move on to the next stage of the trial.
Linny was not in the tunnel at that moment. The sound we heard may have come from a... The deceased's name is Cowell. The vase was not broken by chance. It was used...
Paimon gets it! It all comes together if Halsey... Lynette escaped from the water tank, vanishing If there's a similar...
Oh, just a moment. How could a person ever be transformed into water? Magic tricks are ultimately just illusions.
Even so, I trust the truth must be out there somewhere. Perhaps some new line of Since Cal was the deceased, we haven't placed much attention on him. But given that we aren't making much progress with the case, it wouldn't hurt to
People really do come up with all sorts of harebrained schemes when...
Nevertheless, I believe that this is a reasonable request on the part of an attorney. Since the trial does indeed appear to be... Guards, please step...
We are still examining the item. We discovered several test tubes of fluid within Cowell's back. The notebook in his backpack claims that the
primordial sea.
The note's contents also indicate that Cowell belonged to an organization that sells illegal drugs. The notebook has many entries concerning safe usage of these fluids, in which the keyword, one of these tubes was labeled Opera Epiclet. The notes also state that these dissolution properties work exclusively on people from Fontaine. As such, we believe that the defense's hypothesis is...
You've got to be kidding! People dissolving...
Could something so ridiculous actually...
Wait a moment. This reminds me of a certain prophecy.
If people can become water, does that mean that the water tank's real use was as a means to hide water stains? Wait just a minute. Could that mean...
Demoiselle, wait! What about your partners?
Let's go. Just trust me.
Order! Order! It is undeniable. Still, let us assume that these clues are indeed authentic. Guards, please continue examining the... Mr. Linney, it appears your hypothesis is supported by the evidence.
Of course. If we uphold this hypothesis, I believe that many of this case is...
Right! Like the metal hook! That would... Let's think about this. Cowell's methods must have something to do with that water from...
I remember there was something else within the... Lynette was in the magic box on stage the entire... The water from the primordial sea should already... Now it seems like the hook rope was not meant for another magic trick, but was instead... I remember there was some... The water from the primordial sea should already... The rope that strung the... I remember there was something else... Lynette was in the magic box on stage. The deceased's name is Cowell. Now it seems like the hook rope was not... The rope that strung the water tank. Now it seems like the hook rope was... I remember there was something... The deceased's name is Cowell.
It's aced in the original plan. Cowell would tamper with the... When the magic box containing Halsey was lowered, the metal hook would... When the balloon attached to the box popped. Afterward, Cowell would enter the tunnel and break... But he encountered something unexpected.
Huh. That actually links together a lot.
Oh dear. What do I do? Even I think they sound convincing now. Have I falsely accused an innocent person?
Now, it seems like the only point of contention remaining is the exact circumstances that... His notes mentioned he had an accomplice who could be related to the situation.
On that note, the guards have just contacted me indicating that they uncovered new evidence. I shall now invite him on...
Thank you, Your Honor. We were just inspecting the luggage of the other people involved in this case. And we found an identical sample of the water from the primordial sea among Linny's personal effects.
What?
That can't be.
Oh, I see. Well, how wonderfully comedic to have your own counterattack only to come back and wound you. Does this not clear all doubt? My dear citizens, my loyal audience, allow me to present my reasoning and bring this performance to a swift close. Linny did not need to take part in the dissolution of the young woman at all. Indeed, he did leave the scene via the vent, having made modifications to the props beforehand. His accomplice Cowell then caused Halsey to vanish using the water from the primordial sea. But upon his return, in cruel avarice, Linny desired sole credit. Ultimately, he knocked Cowell out, and the tool meant to cover the crime up also became a murder weapon. Now, as much as I regret having come to such a viciously straightforward conclusion, it does seem that the famed Fatui is quite... Am I right?
We've used up all the evidence we collected. Is this the end of the road?
Oh no! Paimon can't think of anything either. Seems using the water as new evidence was too good a move.
I think we've all seen enough now, and we have ample witnesses to my flawless reasoning. I believe this is indeed the finale. Now then, my good, noble chief.
Excuse me, everyone, but I mustn't.
Miss, I must ask you not to shout.
Oh, come on. Don't be hasty. I have a good reason for interrupting, you know. Now, would anyone here like to take... I'll show you an amazing trick. One that can bring a young woman who has disappeared...
What in the world is she saying?
No offense, miss, but miracles like that are beyond my...
Come on now, don't be silly. Magic is all about misdirection, isn't it? It often conceals the truth while presenting a But once everyone believes the illusion, can't magic reveal the truth? And wouldn't such a trick be the most marvelous finale to Come on, Linny and Lynette. Give it another... But, as the magic makers and stars of the show, I think I should leave the final performance to you.
I understand.
And voila!
Sorry for the interruption.
Wait, isn't that Halsey? So, the whole thing about people dissolving...
To be clear, I'm only here because this person told me that if I testified, the merit of doing so would lessen my sentence. I was hiding outside this room listening to the proceedings because I was afraid that I would be the one put on trial. I was just feeling happy that no one had noticed me, and then before I knew it, she caught me.
That'll teach you to underestimate us three.
Where should I begin?
What? Why?
Firstly, my name isn't Halsey. I heard that Linny's show was gonna be a real thriller, but I missed the chance to buy. That's how I make a living. I steal stuff here and there. And I'd never been, but I was noticed at the harbor a few days ago, and I barely got away. Linny
Hey, no wonder you look familiar. Liddy even mentioned that you were pretty skilled.
Well, and I thought that would have been the end of it, but then the number selector chose me. He even mentioned the Fortress of Meripede. That's a prison, isn't it? So you can imagine how shocked I was. I thought he was on. So I played along with the show while looking for an opening to flee. But then I got water poured on me for no reason, and then someone... I wasn't going to take that lying down, so I knocked him out and stuck... There was nowhere to run from there, though, so I had to change my clothes and hide in a box containing... I slipped out after the first guard arrived at the scene and continued hiding inside the opera house.
Can a person even hide in there?
But I swear, I didn't know that the water tank would fall down. Really, I swear. Had I known that, I wouldn't have put him in the magic box. I may be a thief, but I...
Well, that makes everything pretty clear now, doesn't it?
This time, we need to tell the entire... The strange... Lillian was afraid that she would be recognized. The flower vase was not.
And it's Ace Detective Paimon time! Having been her panic only intent hearing the commotion, he did not know that mistaking the two broke with no way of escape. That she would have to go through guard inspection if she tried to leave.
She had already become desperately hungry by the time we were chatting over macarons. So, she swiped 2 of them right under—
At this point, all the events that have—
so bravo!
Now then, Lady Farina. Please answer the question, Lady Farina. Also, if I may add, the trial has not yet ended. As such, I request that the prosecution not leave the room before the proceedings have concluded.
What? Are you reading my mind now? No. I have no further arguments. I admit defeat. But really, could you at least have—
Wow! Look at that!
If there are no objections, then as the Chief Justice of Fontaine, the actual perpetrator of the serial disappearances, Cowell, with some modifications to the selector, he could ensure that the to cover up any evidence while committing the deed. Cowell thought of allowing the water tank. He also tampered with the rope suspending the water tank, using the fireworks at the end of the performance to cause the tank to drop. He poured the water from the primordial sea into a balloon during the preparation. Finally, he passed the prepared hook on a rope through the gap in the magic box's door when the magic trick officially began, the box containing the woman was lowered into the tunnel, tightening the hook rope and bursting the balloon containing the water. If all had gone to plan, the young woman would be dissolved at this time. However, Lillian was not from Fontaine and thus fled the box with a loud noise. Realizing that there was trouble, Cowell entered the tunnel and met Lillian. Thinking that the waters had not yet taken effect, he decided to proceed. However, his opponent was more capable than he thought, and he was overcome, knocked unconscious, and placed into the magic box, and thus became his own. Lillian, according to her own statements, then changed clothes and hid until the performance ended, before hiding in. As for Linny, he was in the underground structures within the opera house, and was thus ignorant of these happenings. From this reconstruction of events, we can While there is much in Linny and Lillian's conduct that should still be investigated separately, this case, at least, can be handed over to the oratories to make the final decision. As such, Linny and Lynette are officially—
Great work, partners.
Thank you all. Thank you so much.
Next, I think we deserve an explanation. How did you find the water from the primordial sea in Linny's baggage?
Right! Your discovery caused me to make a serious mistake, you know!
I suspect that the accomplice mentioned in Cowell's notes was not— I'm sure you know what you must do to lessen your sentence.
Speak quickly! Unless you want to earn yourself a one-way
I was just following orders. We were supposed to place blame for the serial disappearances onto Linny, and thus cause suspicion to fall on the Fatui.
And now that your plan has fallen through, and the secrets of the water have been revealed, therefore you would be wise to tell everything you—
Yes, I'll tell you everything I know. Our boss discovered that the water can cause— It can also be made into a potion, which when extremely diluted, can cause people to experience We've been in this business for a while now, and have made decent mora off it. The disappearances...
And now he can no longer...
Such ruthlessness.
Outrageous. All present, please submit to inspection immediately.
So, we're just going back now? That's true.
Traveler, Paimon! Please wait.
Lenny.
I know you may not want to speak to me right now. Maybe you don't even... But still, let me thank you again for defending me to the end. Even after you learned that I'm a member of the... I guess. But regardless, I didn't approach you with any ulterior motives or ill intent. I've spoken. As for why I'm a Fatus, it's because the goals of the House of the Hearth... That was how Father, who you might know as the Knave,